What just kinda disappeared without people noticing? Hotel keys that weren't a plastic credit card. Last couple of hotels I've been to have advertised using an app instead of a plastic key card. CD slots and computers. I only noticed a couple months back that my current computer doesn't have one. Of course, I only needed it once in 2 years, if not longer. I recently built a new computer, and my case didn't even have the option to install an optical drive. My old case had one, but I hadn't used it in at least 3 to 4 years. Flash games made just for the fun of it. The younger generation probably doesn't even remember, but the 2000s were the era of flash games. There were so many games created and practically none of them had in-game purchases. Nowadays, every single flash game has the main agenda to get you to buy its in-app purchases. Burning copying CDs and DVDs. It was huge for a few years, but then streaming services just ate up the market so completely that no one really bothered with it anymore. Plus, HDD storage is so cheap nowadays you don't need to burn your pirated movies to free up space anymore. And if you want to watch it on your TV, you can do so without plopping a DVD in a player. Door-to-door sales. Owned a house for 7 years in a respectable neighborhood, and not one visit, which I'm fine with. As a kid, people were always coming around trying to sell stuff: books, magazines, vacuums, knives, encyclopedias, religion, even kids selling candy and popcorn. It's all on Facebook now. Old school forums. Yeah, there are still a fair few up and running, but they're not the go-to discussion place like they were 10, 15 years ago. Modern social media has stolen a lot of the old posters. Whenever I describe Reddit to people, I always say, remember forums? Imagine if they were all under one website now. You don't make many connections though compared to forums that I miss. I'm still a member of one of my first ones, or an offshoot if it. Maybe 24 people, no one new in years. Definitely dying, but I will keep posting as long as others do. We tried Facebook, but it just wasn't the same as random PHP forums. People were more respectful as well since there was a community. A debate meant an honest discussion that was well thought out. Reddit is more like the Snapchat of forums. 10-second comments and you're out. Video game strategy guides that you can buy in stores. Same with cheat code booklets. I understand they still sell some strategy guides for certain games, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be. I loved following my Final Fantasy guides. Also, I remember going to the grocery store and looking at the cheat code magazines and writing them down on a piece of paper. Oh, the good old days. BlackBerry phones. You're kinda right, but Blackberries had a long, slow death to the 20 people that were watching them. MP3 players. Slowly replaced by phones. I know a few people that still use one for the sole purpose of saving data and battery life for their phone. It's actually not a bad idea when you think about it. 3D Doritos. The year is 1998. You got your 3D Doritos and a can of Surge. You're watching Power Rangers and life is perfect. Then you decide to play their Ocarina of Time or Metal Gear Solid, depending on the console you own. Then get 5 minutes into whatever game before mom's yelling at you to go outside and play. So you ride your bike to your friend's house, knock on the door, and ask if such and such can play. Then you go inside and play video games with your friend because Shane's parents let him play video games whenever he wants, and I wish I could go live with them, Mom. Paris Hilton. The Kardashians replaced her. Privacy. It astonishes me that this isn't a bigger thing. Imagine if the post office announced that they were going to open and read your mail, and then sell the information to companies so that they could send you junk mail. We need a privacy bill of rights. To be fair, a big part of it is that people voluntarily surrender it. That culture needs to change if we're going to get any of our privacy back. Spoiler, it won't, and we won't. I personally haven't posted anything on social media in years. But I also get that I'm still leaking information, if dramatically less. But still some for sure, and that I'm a bit of an outlier. Plus, again, the culture is that's weird. I have literally had it mentioned to me in a job interview that they couldn't find much of an online presence for me, and they were wondering why. Because I don't need to let every advertising company in the country know every time I drink a beer, maybe? 3D TVs. McDonald's giving quality toys and Happy Meals, and especially the Disney-based Christmas decorations that played music. They were the best. I remember getting actual, for real, Lego sets with my Happy Meals. Good ones, too. Ownership. We used to pay money and then the thing actually belonged to us. Now everything is rented or leased. Everything is sold. As a service. Music as a service. Movies as a service. Software as a service. Even printer ink as a service. We spend and in the end we hold nothing in our hands. You can also subscribe to clothes. Wear new clothes every month but never own them. You can also subscribe to cars. Clothes as a service, cars as a service. Buying a new game and having a thick chunky manual filled with game lore which you would read before playing and so heighten the anticipation of the game itself. I remember on the drive home with a new game, opening it up and speed reading the manual with so much excitement to start playing. Taio Cruz used to have some absolute bangers and was pretty popular at one point, but the last big video by him was like 5 years ago on YouTube. What happened to the guy? They say he bought a bunch of land somewhere. Alicia Silverstone. She was in everything in the late 90s, then she was gone. Ebola. Keep in mind that it didn't become a bigger deal because a large number of really dedicated people worked hard to keep it from becoming one. Though it was the largest outbreak of that disease, it was eventually contained to a relatively small area, very relative. It was still in multiple countries. Waterbeds. Childhood friendships. At some point during your childhood you and your friends went out to play for the last time and nobody knew it. The wealth of the middle class. Phone booths and phone books for that matter. Every house always had a phone book and there were phone booths everywhere. Glare screens for monitors. Acid rain. Some stay dry but others feel the pain. PB Crisps was one of the most delicious snacks back in the early 90s. I would try to get a bag for myself at least once a week whenever my mom would take us along for grocery shopping. Then one day it was just gone. Being a kid in the early 90s with no internet also meant no answers on why they discontinued one of my most flavorful childhood memories. Until next time, PB Crisps. Until next time. Songs from movies. Not from musicals, but normal movies. There was a time when every film had to have a single released with it. Now only Deadpool 2 has one, and that's clearly a campy homage to the trope. See You Again, from Furious 7 was one of the biggest songs of 2015. Male rompers. Anyone remember spinning rims on cars? We hooked you up with 4 35-inch chrome spinners, dog. Emos, where did they all go? And saying that it's been a long time since I've seen a good old-fashioned goth. White wall tires, quite a few years ago. I think the last time I saw white wall tires being taken seriously were Lightning McQueen in his first movie. My motivation for life. That class for keyboard typing and stuff. Phone booths were everywhere. Every restaurant, hotel, bar, airport had cigarette vending machines and you could smoke anywhere you wanted, like movie theaters, grocery store, hospital, mall, etc. Literally anywhere in public you wanted. He lies. Pay phones. I never saw one get removed, yet they just disappeared. Landlines and residences. The jacks are still in almost any house, but I rarely see anything plugged in anymore. The only people I can think of with them are all over 60. What's even better is when you fill out any paperwork that requires personal info, they still ask for your home phone as the primary sometimes. UFO footage and/or ghost recordings, considering the amount people with cameras phones these days. Shopping malls is more than a place to go to buy things. Growing up they were an epicenter for socializing, getting exercise on a bad day, window shopping, actual shopping, and/or eating. Now they're dying an undignified death. There's significantly less quality busy malls. The zeitgeist has definitely moved past the idea of the mall that I grew up with. Swine flu. It made me change my honeymoon from Mexico to Hawaii the day before my wedding. Then I never heard about it again. Hoverboards. Troll memes and rage face. Those types of memes that used to be super famous, and now they just gone, rarely to found. What just kinda disappeared without people noticing? Leave a comment, And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.